My name is Jessica Hayes. I'm 29 years old. And I will never forget the night everything changed. Not because of what they did to me, but because of what I did after. It was a Saturday. Family dinner at my mother-in-law's house. The kind of dinner that happened every month. The same faces. The same forced smiles. The same performance of a perfect family that everyone believed except the people inside it. I had been married into that family for just over a year. A rich family. A respected family. Known everywhere for their charity work. They didn't just donate money quietly. They ran entire charity organizations. Big events. Media coverage. Campaigns that made the local news. People admired them. Teachers talked about them at schools. Pastors mentioned them in sermons. Local politicians wanted photos with them. Their reputation was spotless. Untouchable. Almost holy. And when I became part of that family, I believed it too. I was educated. Organized. Good with numbers and paperwork. So naturally, I started helping them with their charity work. At first, it was small things. Managing lists. Arranging documents. Helping during events. Slowly, they gave me more responsibility. I felt proud. Like I was part of something meaningful. Like I had married into a family that actually made a difference in the world. That was the illusion. And that night at dinner, the illusion shattered. Before I tell you what actually happened, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Tell me in the comments, have you ever trusted someone who didn't deserve it? Now, let me take you back to that night. The atmosphere that night was calm. Almost peaceful. Expensive dishes. Soft music playing in the background. Quiet conversations between people who had known each other for years. My mother-in-law, Eleanor, sat at the head of the table. As always. Confident. Respected. In complete control. She was the kind of woman who never needed to raise her voice to make you feel small. A single look from her could silence a room. A single sentence could destroy your confidence for weeks. And that night, I became her target. I was moving around the table, serving drinks, making sure everything was perfect. Because in that house, even small mistakes didn't stay small. They were remembered. Filed away. Used later. I stepped closer to my mother-in-law with a glass of juice. Fresh. Cold. Made exactly the way she liked it. And in one small, careless moment, my hand slipped. Not much. Just slightly. But enough. The glass tilted. Just a little. And a few drops of juice landed on her dress. Not the whole glass. Not a flood. Just a few drops. For a second, everything stopped. No one spoke. No one moved. The room fell into a heavy, uncomfortable silence that felt like it lasted forever. My heart dropped instantly. "I'm so sorry," I said quickly, my voice shaking before I could stop it. "It was an accident. I didn't mean to. I didn't get to finish." Her hand came out of nowhere. The slap hit my face so hard that my head turned from the force. My skin burned instantly. My ears rang. My thoughts froze completely. I couldn't breathe. And still, no one reacted. No one stood up. No one said a word. Not her husband. Not her sons. Not the guests. Not even my husband. No one. Before I could even understand what was happening, her hand was in my hair. Tight. Rough. Pulling. "For something so simple you can't even be careful," she snapped, her voice sharp and filled with a coldness I had never heard directed at me before. I tried to steady myself. My hands reached toward hers, but my body wasn't responding the way I wanted. Everything felt slow. Heavy. Unreal. And then, without another word, she pushed me toward the door. Still holding my hair for a moment before letting go. And then she kicked me out. "Don't come back in until you learn how to behave," she said coldly. And then, the door slammed shut. Just like that. I stood there outside in the darkness. The night air felt colder than it should have. My hair was messy. My face still burning. My hands trembling slightly. But I didn't cry. I just stood there, trying to understand how everything had changed so quickly. A year. One whole year. Trying to fit in. Trying to be enough. Trying to believe this was my home. And, in just a few seconds, everything was gone. I slowly turned my head and looked through the glass beside the door. And that's when I saw him. My husband. Mark. Standing inside. Looking straight at me. And smiling. Not shocked. Not angry. Not even uncomfortable. Just smiling. Like he was watching something amusing. Like my humiliation was entertainment. Something inside me broke in that moment. Not loudly. Not suddenly. But deeply. Because that smile said everything I had been afraid to admit for a year. I was never family. I was never respected. I was never loved. All those smiles. All those moments. All that effort. It meant nothing to them. For them, I was just someone who could be controlled. Corrected. Thrown out when I became inconvenient. And my husband, the one person who was supposed to stand beside me, the one person who promised to protect me. He didn't even try. That hurt the most. I looked away. Stepped back from the window. And for a few seconds, I just stood there. Empty. Still. Not thinking. Not reacting. Just feeling the truth settle inside me like a stone sinking into dark water. But here's the thing about that night. Something else happened too. Something I didn't fully understand until later. The silence around me felt heavy. But inside, something had already started changing. Not anger. Not sadness. Clarity. For the first time, I stopped questioning myself. Stopped making excuses for them. Stopped hoping they would change. Because now, I had seen everything clearly. And that night, standing outside that house with nothing but silence and rain around me, I made a decision. A quiet one. But a final one. And this time, I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. That night, I didn't go back inside. I didn't knock on that door again. I didn't call anyone. Not even him. I just walked away. Slowly. Quietly. Without looking back. Because for the first time, I knew exactly where I stood. The next 2 days, no one came looking for me. No calls. No messages. Nothing. No, are you okay? No, come home. No, let's talk about this. Just silence. And somehow, that hurt less than I expected. Because deep down, I already knew. I knew that family better than anyone. I had lived with them. Worked with them. Watched them closely for over a year. And the truth was, what people saw from the outside was never real. My in-laws didn't just help people. They ran charity firms. Big ones. Events. Campaigns. Donations. Everything looked perfect on the surface. People trusted them. Respected them. Investors and organizations gave them huge amounts of money because they believed this family was doing something good. But that wasn't the truth. That was just the image. In reality, that charity was their business. They helped people. Yes. But only enough to show it on camera. Only enough to maintain their image. Only enough to keep the money flowing. The rest, they kept. And the worst part? They didn't even respect the people they claimed to help. I had seen it again and again. For the last 6 months before that night, I had started noticing patterns. At first, I thought maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I didn't understand how things worked. But slowly, it became impossible to ignore. On camera, they were completely different people. Soft voices. Kind words. Gentle smiles. They would sit with poor families. Talk to them with respect. Promise support. Hand over money. Look like they truly cared. But the moment the camera turned off, everything changed. Their tone became sharp. Cold. Impatient. I remember one moment so clearly. They had just finished recording a video helping an old man. My mother-in-law was smiling. Speaking so kindly. Placing money in his hands like she truly cared. The camera stopped. And within seconds, her smile disappeared. She looked at him and said, "That's enough. Don't come here again." Her voice was completely different. Cold. Dismissive. Like he was nothing. The man just stood there. Confused. Grateful just a second ago. Now silent and ashamed. And I stood behind them, watching everything. That was the moment something inside me shifted. After that, I started noticing more. Same pattern. Different places. Different people. Kindness on camera. Cruelty off camera. I tried to talk to my husband about it. One night, I said softly, "This doesn't feel right. Helping people shouldn't look like this." He just laughed. Not loudly. Not angrily. Just casually. "This is how things work," he said. "We still help them. That's what matters." I didn't argue. But I didn't feel convinced either. A few days later, I tried talking to my mother-in-law. Carefully. Respectfully. She didn't even let me finish. "Don't interfere in things you don't understand," she said. "Focus on your work." That was it. That was the moment I stopped speaking. But I didn't stop watching. From that point, I started keeping things. I don't even know why at first. Maybe I needed clarity. Maybe I needed proof that I wasn't imagining it. Because I was the one handling most of the paperwork. I saw the numbers. The records. The differences. Money coming in. And money actually being used for charity. They didn't match. So I started saving things. Small records. Copies. Details. And sometimes, I recorded. Not openly. Not obviously. Just quietly. Moments where they were helping people on camera and then changing completely once it was over. I kept everything. Not for revenge. Not at that time. I just kept it because somewhere inside me, I was still hoping. Hoping that one day they would realize. Change. Become what they pretended to be. Because I wanted to believe that the family I married into was real. But after that night at the dinner, everything became clear. They were never going to change. Not unless they were forced to. And now, I had everything. Not just doubts. Not just feelings. Proof. Real. Clear. Unavoidable. I sat there in my small apartment, looking at everything I had collected over months. Videos. Records. Moments. All telling the same truth. And then I remembered something. 2 days from now, they were hosting the biggest charity event of their lives. A grand gala. All their main investors would be there. Rich people. Important guests. People who trusted them. Everyone. This wasn't just another event. This was their crown jewel. The moment they showed off to the world how generous they were. And suddenly, everything made sense. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about the truth. I took a deep breath and looked at the screen one last time. Because this time, I wasn't going to stay silent. Not anymore. The day finally arrived. For the past 2 days, I had done nothing but think. Not about fear. Not about what could go wrong. But about everything that had already happened. That night, the slap. The way her hand gripped my hair. The way the door closed in my face. And him. Standing there. Smiling. That memory didn't fade. It didn't weaken. It stayed clear. Sharp. Burning quietly inside me. And today, I was finally going to answer it. The event was bigger than anything they had ever done. A grand hall filled with light. Soft music playing. Tables perfectly arranged. Cameras set at every angle. People had started arriving early. Well-dressed. Confident. Important. Investors. Business partners. Representatives from organizations. People who trusted them. People who believed in them. People who gave them power. And at the center of it all stood my in-laws. Dressed perfectly. Smiling like nothing in the world could touch them. Speaking to guests. Shaking hands. Thanking them for their support. Watching them from a distance, for a moment, it almost felt unreal. Like none of it had happened. Like I had imagined everything. But then that memory came back. The slap. The pain. The door closing. And, just like that, the doubt disappeared. I stepped forward. Slowly. Calmly. Every step steady. Not rushed. Not hesitant. The sound of my heels against the floor echoed softly. But in my ears, it felt loud. Heavy. As if every step carried everything I had been holding inside for months. At first, no one noticed me. People were busy talking. Laughing. But then one person turned. Then another. Slowly, the attention shifted. Eyes started following me. Whispers began spreading. Who is she? Isn't that the daughter-in-law? What is she doing here? I kept walking. And then, their eyes found me. Eleanor. Her smile froze. Not completely, but enough. For a second, her expression didn't change. But her eyes did. And I saw it. recognition, then discomfort, then something deeper, something she tried to hide. Fear. My husband turned next. The moment he saw me, his entire body stiffened. That confident expression gone, replaced with confusion, then tension, then guilt. But I didn't stop. I walked straight past them, not looking at anyone else, not reacting to the whispers, just moving forward until I reached the stage. For a second, everything felt still. Then I turned, facing them, facing everyone. Hundreds of eyes watching, waiting. And for a brief moment, I felt it. That pressure, that weight. But it didn't break me, because I had already survived worse. I reached for the microphone. My hand didn't shake. Not this time. The sound of the mic turning on echoed through the hall. And, just like that, the room went silent. Complete silence. My name is Jessica Hayes. I paused. Not because I was unsure, but because I wanted them to listen. Really listen. I was part of this family. A ripple moved through the crowd. Confusion. Curiosity. I could feel it. People looking at each other, trying to understand. But I didn't give them time. For a year, I worked with them. I trusted them. I believed in what they were doing. My voice was calm, steady. But inside, every word carried weight. For a long time, I thought they were helping people. I turned slightly, looking at my mother-in-law, then at my husband. And then I saw the truth in their faces. Eleanor stepped forward, trying to interrupt. "This is not appropriate," she said. Her voice sharp, commanding. But I didn't even look at her. Because this time, she didn't get to control the moment. "Everything you see here," I said slowly, "is not real." The silence deepened. And then, I pressed the button. The screen behind me came to life. The first video played. My mother-in-law smiling warmly, speaking kindly, helping a poor family. People in the audience nodded. Some even smiled. But I didn't stop it. The video continued. The camera cut. And then, her face changed. The smile disappeared. Her tone turned cold. "That's enough," she said in the video. "Don't come again. We've done our part." The room froze. No one expected that. Then another clip. Another moment. Kindness on camera. Cruelty off camera. Again. And again. And again. The whispers grew louder. People shifting in their seats. Looking uncomfortable. Then came the documents. Numbers on the screen. Clear. Simple. Money coming in. Huge amounts. Money going out to actual charity. Almost nothing in comparison. I didn't need to explain much. Because the truth was visible. I looked at my husband. He wasn't looking at me anymore. His eyes were down. His face pale. "You smiled," I said quietly. The words cut through the noise. "When she humiliated me, when she threw me out like garbage, you smiled." He closed his eyes for a second. Like he didn't want to hear it. But he had to. "Let's see," I continued slowly. "Who's smiling now?" Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Then I turned to everyone. "They didn't help people," I said. My voice softened slightly. "They used them." And that was it. No shouting. No drama. Just truth. And it hit harder than anything else could. For a few seconds, no one moved. Then suddenly, everything broke. Voices rising. Questions everywhere. Investors standing up. "What is this? Is this real? We trusted you." Some people walked out immediately. Others stayed, demanding answers. My in-laws tried to speak. Tried to control it. But no one was listening anymore. Because for the first time, their image was gone. And all that remained was truth. Days passed. But the noise didn't stop. What happened that night didn't stay inside that hall. The videos spread. First on social media. Then on the local news. Then everywhere. The documents reached the right people. Questions turned into accusations. Accusations turned into investigations. At first, they tried to control it. Statements. Excuses. Denials. The same confidence. The same tone. The same fake calm. But this time, no one believed them. Because this time, the truth wasn't hidden. It was everywhere. Organizations that once trusted them started pulling back. Investors demanded answers. Accounts were reviewed. Records were checked. And slowly, everything they had built started falling apart. Not in one moment. Not in one day. But piece by piece. Like a wall cracking from every side. Money stopped coming in. Then the money they already had was questioned. Accounts were frozen. Properties were investigated. Their businesses shut down one by one. The same people who once stood proudly on stages now stood in offices trying to explain things they couldn't hide anymore. And then, the cases were filed. Real cases. Not rumors. Not gossip. Fraud. Misuse of funds. False representation. Everything written clearly. The investigations went deeper. And this time, there was no camera to save them. No script. No performance. Just facts. Weeks passed. And then the decisions started coming. One by one, everything was taken from them. The wealth. The status. The power. Gone. And then came the final consequence. My mother-in-law, the face of everything, the voice people trusted, was found responsible. Not just for the image, but for the decisions behind it. And my husband, who stood beside her, who knew, who ignored, who chose silence. He was part of it too. They didn't just lose their money. They lost their freedom. Both of them. Prison. Not as a scene. Not as drama. But as reality. Cold. Silent. Final. I didn't go there to see them. I didn't need to. Because for me, it was already over. But one day, I saw him from a distance. For a brief moment, as they were being taken inside, my husband. He looked different. Not because of the place, but because of what was gone. That confidence. That careless smile. All of it disappeared. His eyes met mine for a second. And in that moment, I saw it. Regret. Real. Heavy. Too late. His lips moved slightly. I'm sorry. I didn't step forward. I didn't respond. Because some words lose their meaning with time. And some actions can never be undone. I just looked at him for one last second. Then turned away. Because I wasn't that woman anymore. The one who stood outside that door. Broken. Silent. Waiting to be accepted. That version of me ended that night. And this version walked away. Not with anger. Not with revenge. But with truth. Because in the end, I didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. I just showed the world who they really were. Today, I live quietly. Not hiding. Just differently. I don't think about them often anymore. But sometimes, late at night, I remember that dinner. The slap. The door. The smile. And I remember what came after. Not the destruction. But the moment I decided I was worth more than silence. If you take anything from my story, take this. Silence is not peace. Watching is not weakness. And the truth, no matter how long it takes, always finds a way out. My name is Jessica Hayes. And I am never going to be silent again. Thanks for listening. If this story meant something to you, subscribe. Because I have more truths to tell. And you won't want to miss a single one.